Why am I the only demon hunter in guild?
I need to get closer. I can't attack that.
Yeah.
This demon's trying to muscle in on my territory. Put a stop to it!
It's too far away. I'm out of range.
They're spreading out. Unpaid overtime is hereby authorized. Find them!
Unpaid overtime is hereby authorized. That's
I need
funny.
to get closer.
Oh, scheiße.
It's too far away. I don't have a target. I'm out of range. It's too far away. I need to get closer.
I want these demons
I'm
cleared
out
out
of
by
range.
supper time. I can't afford to miss a meal.
I need to get closer. It's too far away. I'm out of range.
Your efforts are in vain, mortals. We cannot be stopped.
Yeesh! Ugliest demon so far! Fight in the name of your handsome trade prince!
It's too far away. I'm out of range. I can't attack that target.
You actually need to have all 8 keys handed in order to watch the final boss spawn cutscene, which is just an interesting to think about from a developer's perspective on why they would do that. So we have to open japes every time you talk to K. Lumsley the first time, so we're never gonna go in there.
The lonely first golden banana.
Alright, there's key 8.
I need to get closer.
And then just a small little optimization. You can kick through that second key turning cutscene to get a little closer to the door.
Alright. And the reason, one more thing, the reason I don't have to unlock all the cogs is that the final boss gives you the cogs every time you move to a different phase, because the game assumes you have them at this point. And that being said, here's the final boss area, and get ready for 12.5 minutes of awesome, exciting, thrilling gameplay. Which means it's time for donations.
I'm out of range.
All right. We have $333 from Vlad, who says, "Oh, banana." Here's $8.01 from T-Gum. Shoutouts to Kiwi Killer 67, Hitokage 220 on the couch, and Morning to Tudos. Greetings from Germany, and put this donation towards the runner's choice.
Morning.
What is the runner's choice, by the way?
Kill the animals.
Kill the animals. See what's next. We have an anonymous $100 donation. First time watching, first time donating. Watching from Guam. And staying up for N64 is so worth it. DK64, hype!
Way to go!
And an extra 50 if the opening song is played. Well, you sorta got it.
Before coming near my palace.
I think it counts, to be honest. Alright, so we're gonna finally get to the final boss here. A lot of the final boss is actually a lot of lag optimization, because as I mentioned before, the game is very laggy and it speeds up your Kong, but it does not speed up anything else in the game. So ideally, I want to have my camera away from the enemies so their cycles go faster. So I jumped in the barrel as soon as it spawns to allow me to shoot as soon as I'm able to control Donkey Kong again. K-Rool punches the same amount of times each time I jump in the barrel, so I can just memorize how many times he punches and shoot accordingly. Generally, this is regarded as the easiest phase of the K-Rool fight. Alright, there's one. Coming up for the next phase is the Diddy phase, and this is regarded as probably the hardest phase in the whole fight. Mainly because of Diddy's jetpack is pretty crazy to control here. So the first thing I'm going to do is get damage so I can position myself to jump into the rocket barrel spawn as soon as it spawns. Just like that. What I'm going to do now is fly up. Oh, I missed a switch here. Alright, so for the last 3 switches, you can position yourself so that the ammo will clip through the light switch and you can hit both of the switches at the same time. Just like so. Now, ideally, I want to do that for all 4 of them. I didn't do too well for the first one, but the last 2 are a lot easier to set up for. This looks pretty good. Good. Do that one more time. Oh, wow. What was going on there? All right, that was still pretty good, though. Yeah, just a little bit of movement optimization and knowing how to control these jetpack goes a long way in that fight.
Focus your attacks! Bring them down!
You want to talk about Lanky Phase?
So Lanky Phase is probably the second most difficult phase. Basically, you're hitting a whole bunch of switches to throw barrels that contain bananas. And if you throw the barrels in incorrect places, or if you miss punches on the switches, you can miss the cycle that you're trying to go for, and that messes up the entire rest of the fight.
It's too far away.
So it's just basic optimization, trying to make sure you throw everything in the correct place and not get hit by K-Rool.
Ideally, I'll be throwing them in places where I can head straight to the closest instrument pad, and then being able to play my instrument on it right away. And hopefully he'll slip on the banana right there. As you can see, like, I threw the banana really close to where he was, so he'll be able to slip immediately, or almost immediately, just like that. This next one actually has the tightest window, so I hope I get this. Alright, this looks good. Alright, cool.
This one's also the most specific in terms of the barrel placement. If he threw it closer to the red side, he would actually get a completely different cycle that's about 5 seconds slower.
Don't let them hold an inch of ground!
It's actually really easy to miss the switches with Lanky's arms. Didn't troll me that time. Alright, that was pretty good Lanky Phase. Alright, you have time for more donations here.
We have $100 from Brew. True story. I haven't played DK64 in 12 years because every time I played it, I got nightmares. So please destroy this game for younger me, as I was never able to beat it. Good luck to all the runners. Anonymous $10 donation. I'm a long-time watcher, first-time donator. So I figured it would be fitting for it to be during one of my favorite games of all time, Donkey Kong 64. I will donate another $10 if 2DOS does a backflip as Chunky during the K-Rool fight.
Ooh, there's a lot of money riding on that then.
Here's Blue Shirt Guy 120 with $5. 2DOS, I'll donate another 15 if you backflip at the K-Rool fight with Chunky.
The stakes have increased.
Wonder J 13, $10. Morning 2DOS, literally. So I remembered that if I donated during your run, you'd do something, but I forgot what that thing was. So I'm hoping that you remember what it was. Good
Morning,
luck
Wonder
during
J.
your run.
Alright, so for this next phase, this is actually the longest and most lag heavy phase in the whole fight. So most of this fight is just going to be me trying to reduce as much lag as I can. So for the first part of this phase outside the shoe, I'm going to climb the corner and just look straight up. This does two things. It will reduce all the lag that K-Rool generates. It also allows me to avoid his wave attacks. And I can just sit here, and I'll do all of that. He jumps the same amount of time each time, so I can just jump down right before he stops. Alright, so inside the shoe, I'm also going to reduce a bunch of lag. Instead of using my gun, I'm going to put it away and look down.
I need to get closer.
The toes cause a ton of lag, so looking down like this really reduces a bunch of the lag in the shoe. And throwing oranges will also reduce the lag even further. It's a little...
I'm out of range. need to get closer. It's too far away. I need to get closer.
See?
Holy fuck.
Kneel before me! Beg for mercy! Get to the crossroads!
I'm out
Everyone
of
on the leader!
range.
Take its head!
It's too far away. I need to get closer.
seems a little contradictory to what I said earlier, where oranges generate lag, but since I'm only throwing one oranges and looking away from the orange explosion, it actually causes less lag than the gun. And I just need to repeat this cycle 4 times, so this could get a little long. The toes have the same pattern almost every time. There are a few exceptions, but I won't go over them. It's not really relevant right now. But anyway, I just need to memorize the toe patterns and just look down and away from them every time.
And the whack reduction is significantly important here. It saves about 30 seconds just to decrease the lag so the toes move faster to get through the cycles quicker.
Mm-hmm. And if you were playing on the VC version of the game, which is essentially a lagless version of the game, even with all this lag reduction, the VC version for this phase is actually 30 seconds faster. So just an insane amount of lag here. You have time for more donations.
We have $25 from Unlink. Just had to donate during DK64. Shoutouts to the whole DK64 community. Love you guys. Mini oven. Yes, kill the animals and kill the walls.
Alright, just got one more cycle here.
We have $50 from Milk110. Like to say thanks to everybody donating time and money. GDQ is what every gaming community should strive to be. Good luck breaking this game. And can I get the announcer to yell a big hype? Highlord 640 donates $10 and simply says, please backflip.
Everyone wants you to backflip.
Jono Paulton donates $60. So glad to see SGDQ supporting Doctors Without Borders again. They really deserve our support. This one is to kill the animals. No Kongs were hurt in the making of this donation.
All right, one more time.
We have $5 from Orange Will. Morning, Tudos, Kiwi.
Right on.
And the whole DK64 crew have a mini oven.
Morning.
Morning, Orange.
Alright, so after that phase is finally done, we're going to go to the final phase of the fight, the chunky phase. And the chunky phase is actually closest to like a casual playthrough of the game. It's just a bunch of movement optimization. It's kind of a strange, ironic way to end such a glitch-heavy run.
There's a little lag reduction that can be done to speed up the cycles a bit, but it's relatively straightforward and just movement-based.
Basically, K. Rool cycles around the ring here in a predictable pattern, just like most of his other phases. And you can, unless you get hit or like waste time getting to the pads or the barrel in the middle, he'll cycle around the ring the same time every time, just like so. A good way to know when to throw punches here is to watch his shadow on the ground and just use that as a visual cue when to punch.
Right on. Wow.
I don't know, but the schedule normally comes out tomorrow. So, or actually, it normally comes out today. But lately, and they'll post it during our shift. So, we'll see. Well, my availability is saying night shifts, and it hasn't since November the first one.
There is no doubt, as you've been saying over and over, Don, what Trump was saying here, and it clearly related to violence against Hillary.
Dan, you're disagreeing with Jeffrey?
I mean, Don, I'm trying not to break down in laughter. This conversation's almost broken into the comical realm. It's clear what he was suggesting. I mean, he clearly, I had to read through his exact comments in the Washington Post today twice when I was asked to be on the show to try to find out what exactly the controversy was even about.
Okay, let's play it again. Stand by, Dan.
My...
Let's play it just in case you're not
Sure.
you're confused. Let's play it again.
No, I'm not confused, though.
Okay, let's play it.
Hillary wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment. By the way, and if she gets to pick her judges, nothing you can do, folks. Although the Second Amendment people, maybe there is, I don't know. But
okay, explain to us, people who don't understand and that you want to laugh at what he meant by that.
Don, the man.
Saturday, I'm gonna made plans on Saturday afternoon to hang out with an old school buddy of mine I haven't seen in a while. So I fucking didn't even know he was in Jacksonville.
Saturday afternoon? This Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay. Why are we looking up Marvin?
What?
What is this?
I don't know. Why were you looking up Marvin?
I'm on Explorer.
I don't know.
It was probably...
While you were talking to Joey. And it was picking up shit.
And I think we all know is running for president of the United States. He probably has some data that a lot of one-issue voters vote on the Second Amendment issue.
Yeah.
It's clear he's trying to motivate people to go out and...
I heard bits and pieces of it. I guess they're trying to change some dumb bitch fish, which you have to point out to me.
Yeah,
and
every single fucking time she goes out of town or takes a day off or whatever on the same day that I'm scheduled, and you know how they copy and paste the schedule so that next week she wouldn't be on the schedule? They always take my shift. They delete my shift and put her on. Every time. This time if they do it, because she was out for the entire weekend, as in Friday and Saturday. So if I have to go in, if I'm only on Monday and Tuesday, I'm going to have a fucking fit when they put out the schedule tomorrow. I'm really going to, because I cannot fucking... There's no goddamn way I'm only working Mondays and Tuesdays.
It's like this...
If they take away any of my opening shifts, I'm going to be so fucking pissed off too.
They bring you down to working one or 2 days a week. I'm going in there and I'm beating the ever-loving shit out of your fucking store manager. And I'm not joking.
Well, he doesn't even do the schedule.
I don't care because he goes in there and fucking changes it. I'll goddamn fucking bring that goddamn copper pipe and I'll beat the piss out of everyone who can fucking fuck with the schedule. Because they're now fucking with my goddamn household. And I'm sick and fucking tired of it. And that's the reason why I want to take fish out of the equation.
Yeah, well...
She doesn't need to be working there anymore. And I can make sure that happens.
Vote based on the potential for an open Supreme Court seat. How that's clear to you...
That's so true.
Oh, it's like, fuck you. That's true though.
Only I can put my feet out and be fine. I'm all riled up now.
Oh, I can tell.
See,
that
another reason why I'm stressed out all the time is because of my schedule. Like, I'm always afraid that something's gonna change or something's gonna, you know,
So,
like, just how my fucking pay got changed.
well, I am gonna.
And it's like, I can't contact corporate worth shit. I can't get another fucking job.
I mean,
What am I to do?
your schedules are pretty set. So, I mean, you could do 2 jobs and not fucking back to back in one day.
No, I'm saying I can't get a different job, as in no one's going to fucking hire me because it's the slow season. Except my fucking job for some reason.
I understand. I do. And also, why don't you look into something else outside of, like, look into office work, Aetna. They can train you to do shit there. There's freaking,
I don't think I'd be good at that kind of thing.
you never know. You're on the computer a lot, so, I mean, you've got the ability to do shit like that. They teach you how to do it. So, I mean, you never know. And, like, what is it? Wells Fargo, on the other end of Hodges, they sit here and they'll hire you on for fucking like 16 to 17 an hour doing some shit. I'm gonna finish watching this.
that was some kind of call to an open revolution and to start firing
I'm not.
your weapons at public officials is utter absurdity.
No one said that, Dan.
Really,
no one
almost
said
wanna
that.
laugh.
No one said that.
Don,
And so, no one
know
said
what?
that. If he wanted people to go out and vote, why not just say, go out and vote? The Supreme Court depends on it.
Listen,
the Second Amendment depends on it.
Don,
Why say something like that if that's not what he meant? As someone who's running for leader of the free world, shouldn't he be as clear in his words as possible? Go ahead.
Don, do you want me to? I'll answer that question. Listen, we can disagree about how imprudent he worded that, but to suggest that he was calling to violence means to me that you came into this with the idea that Donald Trump was calling to violence. Let me make the case afterwards. You didn't come into this with a clear and open mind. Listen, I endorsed Cruz in the primary campaign. I'm not a Trump surrogate. I'm supporting him
Dan,
now.
what you're saying right now makes no sense. I'm sitting at home. I'm watching Donald Trump. I have 2 ears.
Service Agent. You're
I
right.
have
You know
two
better than
ears
me.
and I have
Yeah,
two
good call,
eyes,
Don.
and I can see the reaction of the people
Right.
behind me. And we're not stupid. Every
You're
single
right.
person you have on this panel,
No
who
one
are
said
very
you're
smart
stupid.
people,
Don,
David Gergen,
I
who's
was a Secret
respected. Hang
Service
on, will
agent
you
for
let me
12
finish,
years.
Dan?
This is
David Gergen,
well,
who's
no, because
respected by people on
you're
both
saying
sides,
ridiculous things.
by Republicans and by Democrats, who've worked for Republicans and Democrats, who has worked for a president who's had an assassination attempt, who's lived
Don,
through presidents who's been assassinated,
listen.
knew exactly what Donald Trump
Right.
is saying, and we're supposed to be stupid enough not to
Yeah,
understand
I'm
that and
sure
to
he
believe
did.
the spin coming from the surrogates and for people like you. You should be ashamed
Don,
of yourself.
It doesn't make it, Don. Frankly, I'm ashamed that you're talking to me as if I'm a child. When 12 years of my life,
No,
I
you're
was a Secret
treating me
Service
as a
agent,
child
putting
because you're
my blood
telling
on the
me
line
what I'm
while you were
supposed to
learning
hear.
how to be a TV
And you're sitting here on
personality,
television
sitting here
lying to the
lecturing me.
American people.
You don't know crap about this, Don. You're a TV guy. I was a Secret Service agent. Now cut off my mic. Do what you
I'm
want
not going to cut off your mic.
Listen,
I'm
with
going
all
to
due
tell you
respect
that
to
you're
David
sitting here
Gergen,
and you're
you don't know
lying
what
to the
you're talking
American
about.
people. You're lying to the
Right,
American
I'm
people,
lying,
and you
Don.
know
You're
that
right.
you're lying to
Yeah,
the American
I'm
people.
lying. Dan
Don,
Roger. Right.
Go
I
ahead,
read
David.
these comments.
Don?
A couple of people read them.
Don,
and
can we
this
just
is nonsense, Don.
can
You're
we go
making
back
this up.
to Jeffrey Toobin,
Go ahead.
please, Don, and his point about that ordinarily in this situation, a Secret Service agent would visit the campaign and talk to the.
Our breaking news tonight, 3 officers dead, 3 wounded in Baton Rouge. A really tough day for Baton Rouge and for the country, really. Here to talk about how to keep our police safe is Sheriff David Clark of Milwaukee County, Wisconsin. He is going to be speaking at the Republican convention tomorrow night. Sheriff, thank you very much for that horrific day. I spoke to the heads of the Sheriff Department, the Police Department, and the state police down there, and they told us how their hearts were reeling. Their message is peace and coming together in the country. What's your message?
You don't believe that for 1 minute, do you?
That their message is?
Yeah.
That's what they said to me.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe them. Of
Any
course I believe them
protests
when they say
over the deaths of these cops today in Baton Rouge?
I don't know that. I don't know that.
Any riots or protests over the police officers in Dallas, Texas?
What are you asking?
It's a pretty simple question.
I asked you if what's your message to the people. Their message is one of peace. What is your message?
My message has been clear from day one 2 years ago. This anti-cop sentiment from this hateful ideology called Black Lives Matter has fueled this rage against the American police officer. I predicted this 2 years ago. So what I want to know,
okay, Sheriff.
do I want to know?
With all due respect, do you know that this was because of that? Do we
Yes,
know
I
that
do.
As a law enforcement officer?
I've been watching this for 2 years. I predicted this. This anti-police rhetoric sweeping the country has turned out some hateful things inside of people that are now playing themselves out on the American police officer. I want to know, with all of the black-on-black violence in the United States of America, by the way, when the tragedies happened in Louisiana and Minnesota, you know that 21 black people were murdered across the United States? Was there any reporting on that?
There was a black officer who was killed today. But
Was there any reporting on that?
Sheriff, please, let's just keep the volume down here. So I understand, and listen. I'm
looking at 3 dead cops this week,
Sheriff,
and I'm looking at 5 last year. And you're trying to tell me to keep it down?
Just please, if you'll just please, we can keep it civil. So, because the message to people at home, I'm sure you want, is one of civility.
I wish, Don, I wish you had that message of civility
have a conversation
toward this hateful ideology, these purveyors of hate.
You don't know what my message is.
That's
what I want
they
to say
do.
to you is,
these people preach
are you going to let me get a word in?
and virtue
We'll be right
in the
back.
name
We're
of
going to go to break,
hate.
and we'll be right back. Are you going to let me talk between you two? Back now live with Sheriff David Clark of Milwaukee County, Wisconsin, and we're here live in Cleveland. You're set to speak tomorrow night, and again, all I want to do is have a conversation. I can't have a conversation with you if we're both talking at the same time. What it sounds like to me is that you're accusing me of violence and supporting something, a narrative that I'm not necessarily in support of. And if that's what you're accusing me of violence, then you can leave. That's not true. I don't support violence of any type against police officers, against anyone. So if you're accusing me of that, then you're welcome to leave. But if you want to have a conversation, I am more than willing to welcome a conversation with you. I don't disagree with you about there is a narrative across the country that could be harming police officers. But we don't know right now, as someone who's in law enforcement, if that was the actual cause of it. Go ahead.
Let me ask you this. Do we know that generally the American law enforcement officers are racist? Do we know this?
Go on.
I asked a question.
Do I know American general law enforcement are racist? I don't think anyone is accusing. If you're insinuating that people are accusing or saying that law enforcement across this country as a whole are racist, then your assumption is wrong.
First of all, this whole anti-police rhetoric is based on a lie. There is no data, and you know this. There is no data, there is no research that proves any of that nonsense. None.
You'd have to be more specific about what data and what nonsense you're talking about.
That law enforcement officers treat black males different than white males in policing in these urban centers.
There is data that supports
There is not data.
No. The president spoke about it. Cedric Alexander, who is a law enforcement officer.
The president has been lying about it. He said it again the other day when he said black males are 2 times more likely to be shot by a law enforcement officer than white males. Don, that is a lie.
That is not a lie.
It is a lie.
Yes,
show me. Show me.
The research that we have from the Washington Post.
The Washington Post debunked that nonsense.
There's also research.
He also said
Sheriff,
this time.
There's also research.
He continues.
A Harvard professor that also showed that black people are treated more aggressively by police officers.
No, you are wrong
people.
in your interpretation of that Harvard study, because I read the study. That's not what he said. He said he was surprised to find
that in shootings of the most severe in shootings, that he found no evidence that there was a difference. Also, it should be noted that that study was a very small sampling of police departments across the country. Many people did not find it credible, but it is also interesting that in that research, he found that blacks were treated differently when it came to aggressive policing, but for the most egregious shootings, he found no difference. That's what that study showed.
Well, based on what? Just generally? Are we talking about high crime areas? Are we talking about police officers being under attack? Because let's go back to where this whole thing started in Ferguson, Missouri. The lie was hands up, don't shoot.
You're lumping a whole bunch of things into one. If we can do one specific
That's
thing
where this whole phony movement started. It started out as hands up, don't shoot.
You're talking about Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Okay. So if you want to, you would need to speak to someone who is a member of Black Lives Matter about whether they have perpetrated a fraud on the American people. That's up to Black Lives Matter. That's not me. I'm neither a member of Black Lives Matter, I'm neither a supporter or someone who doesn't support them. I simply report on Black Lives Matter.
Do you condemn the anti-police rhetoric coming from this hateful ideology?
As a journalist sitting here on television, I don't have to condemn anyone, anything. That is something that you should ask other people around the country.
I condemn
their jobs to condemn
just like I condemn the hateful ideology out of groups like the KKK. All right? I condemn it. There is no place in American discourse for that sort of vile, vitriolic hate coming out of this ideology. This has fueled and fanned the flames of this anger toward the American police officer. There's only one group in America, one time, that truly cares about the lives of black people in these urban ghettos. And it's the American police officer who goes down there on a daily basis, puts their life on the line to protect who? Black people. So when you say we just want to have a conversation, let's have a conversation about the black-on-black crime, which kills more black males, which is more of a threat to any black male in the United States than a law enforcement officer.
Sheriff, yes, that's a different conversation. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. There's an issue when it comes to violence. Black-on-black crime, or it's crime. White people kill white people, tend to kill white people. Black people tend to kill black people.
Not in the numbers.
That's fine, but that's a different conversation.
I don't care who white people are killing.
That is a different conversation than police brutality, and we're not having that conversation right now.
And
again, I want to be very clear with you. I condemn all violence of any type, just for the record.
Was the situation between Mike Brown and Darren Wilson, was that police brutality?
But we're not talking about Mike
Yes
Brown
or no?
and Darren Wilson.
I am.
No, if you're asking me what the Justice Department showed, the Justice Department showed that it exonerated Officer Darren Wilson, and that the hands up, don't shoot narrative was a false narrative. That has been reported by
And
CNN
that
and by others.
was another phony report.
What does that
was
have to
debunked
do with Baton Rouge, Louisiana?
All right, because when you take in
What does that have
when
to
you
do
take
with
in
Baton Rouge, Louisiana?
rates of involvement in violent crime, and crime in general, but violent crime, you're going to see that black males are overrepresented.
Yeah.
Overrepresented in terms of being involved in violent crime. That's going to mean more arrests. That's going to mean more people going to prison. This stuff has already been debunked.
Sheriff, that's a different conversation.
Every
One that
time,
many people
every
don't-
time
and one that
you
many-
don't have a response to something I say, you say
It's not that I don't have a response to you. Is that we're having two different conversations. I'm asking the questions here. You're answering the questions by asking questions about some other subject that we're not discussing.
We're talking
That is
about
not a
this
conversation.
hateful ideology called Black Lives Matter. You said you're not a member. You can't be a member. It's not an organization.
That's
There's no
what,
structure.
That's what
It
you're
is
talking
an
about. Listen,
ideology, and it is a
and I
hateful
understand that you're very.
ideology.
I understand it's a very
These
stressful time for
individuals,
you.
these individuals,
And Sheriff, we appreciate you coming on.
they preach vile and vitriol in the name of virtue.
Thank you, Sheriff. We appreciate it. We understand it's a very tough time for you. We'll be.
I can tell. Because of how you're acting. And you're huffing and puffing.
I'm like depressed or something.